hmm hmm Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Freshman Getting In series. My name is Valeria. I'm the host of the series and a long alley of Freshman Academy. Today, we're interviewing Yesseniya from NASIB in Astana, who recently got into Wellesley College, one of the most selective liberal arts colleges on planet Earth. Yessenia is a senior at NASIB. She's graduating this year. Her application is centered around competitive sport, hands-on research, and social impact startup. Um, During her school years, she rebuilt her school's women's basketball team from scratch, won a global sustainability award for an earthquake emergency kit startup, researched the economics for Olympic hosting, and entered at a Singaporean startup accelerator at 15 on a full ladder scholarship. Wellesley's coach introduced her to the admissions committee before she even applied, and she was admitted through early decision one. Now she's heading there to play NCAA Division III basketball, minutes from Boston, with access to MIT. Yesenia, welcome. How are you feeling today?
Thank you, Valeria, for such an amazing introduction. Yeah, I'm feeling great. So happy to see everyone who joined.
Mhm.
Can't wait to answer all your questions and share some useful information with all of the participants.
So, a couple of notes regarding the introduction, right, guys? First thing, Yesenia interned not only at a Singaporean startup accelerator, she also had an internship at a US-based startup while still being 15. And in regards to writing a research paper, right, she didn't only do research in economics, she also has research experience in nanobiotech, which we didn't cover yet. So her application, it does have a spike and like a very clear, coherent core, right? But there's also very interesting and unexpected details, which I think made her stand out. But we're going to dive into it throughout, I think, the second half of the event, right? So now let's kick off with the beginning of you pursuing American education, right? How early did you start preparing? Like, when did you make the decision that, hey, I'm applying?
So in general, the decision to apply to colleges abroad was like a common thing among the students of our schools. We have quite a competitive cohort, quite a competitive school in general. So all the students aim to get an education abroad after graduating. But among the many countries, I chose to apply to the US specifically when I understood that I want to connect my future with basketball. And like, since I'm so engaged in the sport now and I want to continue pursuing it in the future, then I have to choose a country in which the sport is developed and in which I will be able to develop my skills even further. And then the United States are an obvious choice because it's a country in which the sport is the most popular, in which it was created, in which all of the major competitions like the NBA is based in the United States. So it was an obvious choice for me to aim for a college in the US so that I could join the team of my university um, and just like experience this student athlete life in general. It was like a dream for me, and I worked to make it my reality.
So overall, your educational context, right, your community made it normalized you wanting to pursue competitive international higher education, right?
Yeah, so in the NAS schools is like a common
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. And the reason why US and not Europe and not China is because you have a long-lasting passion for basketball, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the life of a student athlete would not be as vivid in Europe
True.
or in
True.
Asia as it would be in the United States.
True. Are there any student athletes or people who are doing sports at pretty high level or professionally? Send the plus in the chat so that we know if we have any.
Yeah, please do.
Yep. All right. So let's speak about NAS schools, right? Because not many people might be aware of what the system is like, because majority of our audience usually comes from Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, there's a system of presidential schools. So yeah, there's a system of presidential schools. In Kazakhstan, there's also a system of presidential schools, which I think was launched in 2010, if I'm not wrong, by the first president of Republic of Kazakhstan, right, which is Nazarbayev Intellectual Schools. Um, there's also a couple of IB schools which are different from the 90% of the system, right? So I, for example, come from NAS Karaganda. This school has, along with I think 20 others throughout the country, right? Um, Educational experience there is built around NAS program, which is developed by in partnership with Cambridge University and also one agency in Netherlands that does advanced
Yeah, I think it's
educational.
called CIS, something like that.
No, 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 that's not the thing.
No?
That's not the thing. No, it's another agency that is, I think, specialized in the psychometrics, which is basically developing tests to measure exactly what we need to measure. And CIS, that's another Council of International Schools, which basically
Oh, yeah.
like a standardized set of rules, right? And policies which a school must follow in order to be considered truly global international one, right? And all of these schools, or most of them, they have international accreditation. Now, speaking of NASIB, can you tell us a little bit more about what is your experience in the school is like, right? What is the rigor of the classes? What kind of classes you have that other schools don't have? Yeah, please walk us through it.
So NASIB is quite different from the rest of the NAS
Mhm,
schools because we're the only school in Kazakhstan, like among NIS schools of Kazakhstan that offers the IB program. And we're also the only school in the world that offers the IB program for free for its students. So, in general, the IB schools were created for the children of like diplomats who switch countries frequently. And so they had to switch school systems as well, which was quite challenging for the students. So the idea was to create like a system of schools all over the world, which would follow the same system. And that's how IB was created. But all of the other IB schools are like fee based and they are usually quite expensive. We have a few in Kazakhstan as well, like Haley Berry in Astana in Almaty. We have Miraz School, we have Astana Garden School. They all also offer IB, but on a fee based paying system. But since NIS, like all of the NIS schools are based on like scholarships from the government, the
mhm,
NIS IB also does that. So all of our students study IB for free, basically.
mhm,
Um, and the system in IB is quite different from other NIS schools as well, since the classes that we take are determined by the IB, not by the like Kazakhstani educational system or the Cambridge educational system. We have like all NA schools study from 7th till 12th grade. So we have the middle years program from 7th to 10th grade, and then we have the diploma program from 11th to 12th grade. So currently I'm finishing the diploma program, and we actually get to choose the subjects that we study in the diploma program. We have to take three higher level courses in which we will dive deeply into the subjects and basically cover the content of like first, second year university courses usually.
mhm,
And we also have to take three classes on standard level, which is like a general studying of the subject.
mhm,
And all of the classes that we don't take, we just do not study at all. Like, for example, if I did not choose physics because I do not want to pursue a career connected with physics in the future, then I just don't take any physics classes in those 2 years, like at all.
mhm,
Um, and that's an aspect that I love about our school because if you struggled with a subject in like 9th or 10th grade when you could not yet choose a subject, then you could just take whatever you like, whatever is easy for you in the diploma program, and then it would first of all, boost your grades, your GPA, since you're only studying what you are naturally good at, and in which it's easy for you to take the highest grade possible.
Mhm.
And the classes also become a lot more engaging because within like the room, all of the gathered people have a true interest for the subject and are not taking it like just because they were forced to do so. So the discussions in the classroom are really interesting since all the people are knowledgeable about the topics that we cover, and all the people are just genuinely focusing on getting like as much knowledge as possible from the subject. We have quite a few of unusual subjects for a school, like theory of knowledge.
Mhm.
Um,
May I interrupt you for a moment?
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, I would like to summarize first and then continue. So you said in the last 2 years, you get to choose two or three advanced subjects.
Three advanced and
Right.
three
Three
standard
standard,
level.
right? Okay, so basically you kind of take six courses, right? Uh, Compared to how many courses do you usually, do students in AB system usually take from seventh to 10th grade?
It was about like
More.
12,
Yeah,
10.
yeah. I remember like prior to 11th grade, when I was at NAS, we were taking around like 15 subjects,
Yeah,
courses.
I think we took like 12 to 14, something like that.
All right. So the levels, the subjects at advanced level you get to choose. So which ones did you choose?
So I chose business management
Uh-huh.
since I wanted to pursue a career connected with finance or something like in this field. I also chose anthropology. To be honest, I chose it just because it was something new for me. I will also get to this later, but I love trying out new things. And anthropology was one of a few subjects that we did not cover at all before the diploma program. So, like, we studied biology previously, and if you take biology on a higher level, then you will kind of then the content of the course will overlap with what you have already learned previously. But since we did not have anthropology classes before then, the content will not overlap. It will just be completely new information for me. And I was intrigued by that.
Mhm.
So I took anthropology and I also have English
Mhm. All right.
on a higher level.
Okay, so business management because you wanted to pursue econ or finance, anthropology because it's new, and the course content doesn't overlap with any other subjects, and English, right?
Yeah.
So that was quite extensive, I'd say, exposure to social sciences, right?
Yeah.
And practice and language. All right, what about three standard subjects? You also get to choose them, right? Or no?
Yeah. So for standard level, I have math. Since it's compulsory to take math, you can just choose like on the standard level or higher level. I also have computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also are like we have to take at least one science, so either like physics, chemistry, biology, or computer science. But I remember that from my experience in like early high school, I did not really enjoy doing all those like lab reports and stuff, so I chose computer science. And I do not regret my decision at all. Like the further I got into the diploma program, the more I understood that computer science um, is a subject that helps in a lot of other spheres as well. Even if you do not pursue a career in this field, just like this understanding of the way a computer works is crucial in today's society because we use computers so much.
True.
And the final subject was Russian language.
French?
Russian, Russian.
Ah, Russian. I for some reason heard like freshman language and then wait, freshman language? What? Do we have a language at freshman academy? Okay, kidding. So Russian language. All right. Then you said there's also theory of knowledge subject.
Yeah, so it's outside the six core classes, but it's still mandatory to take.
Mhm.
All students of the cohort take it.
Okay.
Um, and it's quite a confusing subject at first. We just cover like the processes connected with knowledge, like how do we create new knowledge, how do we obtain like understand new knowledge, how do we um, determine whether some knowledge is reliable or not, um, how do we like assess the knowledge and all this like those processes connected with acquiring new information.
So something that is that overlaps with critical thinking, right? But it's framed under theory of knowledge, right? How does information work? How do we work with information? Uh,
Yeah,
okay, okay, got it. So you also said that because you get to choose the classes. Everyone in the class was involved in discussions, right? So, which makes me infer that the classes are not where a teacher speaks and you listen passively, but they might involve an element of something that is alike to seminar-based classes at liberal arts education system. Is that?
yeah. Yeah, so one thing that I love about NIS teachers is that they're all really invested in what they're doing. They do not just conduct classes because they have to. They really
Yeah.
take the time to create like a engaging lesson plan and to do their best to engage students. So yeah, we don't usually have just passive presentations. We have a lot of like seminars. We have a lot of group works. We have a lot of like poster making. We do jigsaw like conversations. We have harkness discussions.
Mhm.
Yeah, so all of the like creative ways to get new knowledge and to share it with others, our teachers use that quite frequently.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is, I think, like an aspect of liberal arts education. And I loved it in high school, which is like one of the reasons that I wanted to get a degree from a liberal arts college for my undergraduate.
So overall, your IB diploma is quite rigorous, right? In its
Yeah, it's
design.
very rigorous.
Yeah, like tell us like I don't know a story or a standard that would show how rigorous it is.
Um, I would say for sure that many of our students, including me, are like heavily sleep deprived during exam
I
season. So
remember
like,
that. Yes.
yeah, that I think applies to all NA schools, but for IB is like a really, really
Mhm.
hard thing. Many of my friends go to bed after like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., including me quite frequently. And we also, I would say that even before the diploma program, like MIP, like middle years program, we have a lot of additional things that we have to do in order to get our diploma on top of the classes that we take. So, for example, in the middle use program in 10th grade, when you finish this program, you have to do a personal project, which is like half a year long project where you have to create a product and you have to make a whole like report about this project and the product, um, which is about like 20 pages long. And then you have to write a portfolio. I can't really explain what it is, but it's like an additional
Mhm.
project that you have to complete. And
Mhm.
then when you get into the diploma program, you have extended essay, which is a 4,000 words long essay, like a complete university paper, I would say. Um, that you are given about a year to complete it. So like on top of the homeworks and summative assessments and exams and all of this stuff, there are also multiple um, highly like projects that are of a large volume and that take a lot of time. So I would say that even if IB students do not like do some projects outside of school, they would get some content for their application for university, even just from their schoolwork alone.
True. True. So it's like you had a research paper experience that you could put as part of activities section, right? Because
Yeah.
you are student of IB system, right? Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah. S- go on you first.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we also have like apart from theory of knowledge, we also have a subject called CAS, like CAS, and it stands for Creativity Activity Service. And it's like a monthly thing that we have to fulfill
Mhm.
in order to get the diploma. Without CAS, we will not get the diploma, and you just have to show the ways in which you um, like develop your creativity, it's like about like singing, drawing, I don't know, composing poems,
Mhm.
and do something creative like in general. Then activity is mostly about like physical activity, like sports or something.
Mhm.
And service, it can be volunteering, it can be teaching others, it can be like holding lessons, and we have to um, mm, like engage in something within every sphere every month.
Mhm.
So it's also quite helpful with building an activities list for the university applications, since you are just like forced to do something creative, something athletic, and something helpful for the society every month, and you have to write about that like for your school. um, so yeah, quite like again, IB students get a lot of like activities just from their schoolwork.
This is actually amazing that the school culture normalizes a lot, having a lot of activities, right? It gives direction for like, okay, what is like the direction for acting, but then you get to choose what to do, right?
Yeah,
Write about it and reflect on it too. So reflection is also part of the school system.
it's a huge part of IB system, I would say.
And I have
So
two actually, because I remembered at the end of each class, we were asked to reflect on what were the key insights that we learned and why they were important and how could we, how we could use them in the subject and in life, right?
yeah, clearly see an NIS student on this one. Uh, since like ever since we get into NIS, like in seventh grade,
Mhm.
we are forced to reflect and reflect and reflect. And the further you get, the more
Mhm.
extensive your reflections become.
Yeah.
And like even on the every project that I mentioned, like for the extended essay, we have to make a reflection form which we submit alongside the essay. For like the personal project, we also have to end it with a reflection paragraph.
Mhm.
And so for CAS, we also have to reflect on how our like creativity activity service projects help us like develop as a person. So we have to reflect a lot, and like reflection skills are something that admission officers love to see, which is another thing that helps with getting into college.
Yeah, and I think that because this is present in the school culture, right, and you engage in this activity on a regular basis, this eases up producing reflective writing and maybe even narrative writing because like if you took Russian as standard class and English as an advanced class, right, you had to write a lot of different kinds of essays, right? Um,
Yeah.
making the process of writing easier, right? How do you see the process of producing essays for your application was made easier because of the school system you're coming from?
I think it was easier in a way that I had an extensive experience in formulating, like putting my thoughts
Mhm.
into fitting words. So in the essay writing process, I think it's really important to use every word um, meaningfully, since the word limits are quite strict. If you get just 250 words for an essay
Yeah.
about a topic that clearly cannot be described in 250 words, then every word that you put in your essay have to be as representative of the thing that you want to describe as possible.
Mhm.
And so in Ivy, since we do a lot of reflections, a lot of essays, we first of all have like a large vocabulary to describe our feelings, our emotions, our experiences. And we also are quite experienced in putting what we felt at the moment into words and like structuring it so that the structure of the essay is coherent for the reader,
All right.
and like it's just easy to read and comprehend the information that is written.
Okay. Now let's switch from discussing your educational background, right, to discussing your application, right? And
Yeah.
specifically the formative experiences behind that, right? So, when you started to build your application, when was that though?
um I think it was when I set on making my GPA perfect, like about 5 out of 5 back in eighth grade because I knew that
Oh,
like
okay.
grades for college applications start to count from like
Sure,
ninth grade.
sure.
So I was like, yeah, starting from this year and like in the future, I have to get all perfect grades so that my GPA is maxed.
But no, I meant like when did you
Like
have
projects,
like
activities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. You had your project activities and you were like, okay, I'm starting to produce essays. When was that?
Oh, so like projects and activities, it was quite
Mm.
early. It was I think like from the ninth to 10th grade. So ever since it was allowed to include the projects that I'm doing into my application, which is from ninth grade, um, then I started just engaging with everything around me, just in case I might put it into my list. Um, of course, I did not put everything that I engaged with in those 4 years into my application, but I had a large variety of projects to choose from when compiling them all into a portfolio, which was quite useful. But for essays, that was a lot later. So I started working on my personal statement in like summer, and I started working on my supplementals in late summer and like September, October. So like
Mhm.
essays, I was doing at the last minute because I was deciding like my college list quite late. Since they all offer different majors, they all were like they had different locations, and I still was not sure about what specifically do I want from my college. And when I determined that, only then did I start writing supplementals. But the activities were like an early thing.
Okay. So a huge part of your application was centered around sports, right? You do sports, basketball, you play basketball at pretty high level. You wrote your paper on the topic, integrating your passion in economics and sports, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, right. So speaking of sports, how did basketball become such a central part of who you are, right? And how did it connect to your sense of, I'd say, mission, right? Because your application was centered around what you bring to Wellesley. Wellesley really values applicants who have a mission.
Um, to be honest, I did not even notice the moment when basketball became so meaningful to me.
Mhm.
Um, so I started playing in middle school around sixth or seventh grade. So it was quite before I started high school. Um, and I would not say that I was instantly good at it. I had struggles. I had to overcome myself in order to actually reach like a recognition in this field.
Mhm.
Um, but I think basketball became so central to me because of the personal development that I saw from it. Like before sport, I was not as confident in myself, as quick in taking like making decisions. I did not communicate with so many people. I did not work in teams so much. So I noticed that all of the skills that this sport has taught me, that I just mentioned, like teamwork and critical thinking, making decisions fast, because in a game you have to like decide if you pass the ball or if you shoot the ball or like whatever you do, you have to make it quick. Um, Being confident in every move that you make on the court,
Yeah.
and all of those personal qualities that basketball gave to me impacted my personal development so much that I wanted to like first of all continue doing so to become an even better version of myself,
Mhm.
and also to um, like help other people
Mhm.
to develop themselves through sports so that as much people around me as possible could also get all of those skills from sports and like just become the best versions of themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So, in your application, right, in activity section, how did you frame this activity? Like part being a player and I'd say the head of the basketball team, right? Or like the leader of basketball club, or were these two different activities that you had on your list?
um, they were actually different.
Yeah.
So For the basketball club, um I listed my position as a founder since I was the one who created the club in the
Mhm.
school. But for like playing basketball, I was listed as a captain of our school team because I was. And I also mentioned my recognitions from like outside the school team, um, like for my just professional team, because we won like a qualifier stage for the world championship, and I knew that like international achievements are something that admission officers really value.
Mhm.
So I focused mostly on my achievements as a player on an international level. And like club founding was a different thing where I focused more on my like organization skills, leadership skills, and
Yeah.
all this stuff.
And serving the community with what you've
Yeah.
achieved and the experience that you've had gathered while leading the team, right? Um, right. So, speaking of developing, I don't know, your strategy towards growing as a captain and as a player, how much time did it take? When did you start developing it intentionally, right? And um, what matters to coaches when you apply, right?
Um, so I started to make it intentional about basketball,
Mhm.
I think closer to late high school, so like in 11th and 10th grade or 11th and 12th grade. Since in early high school, I was first of all quite young for like teaching others. I don't think many people would listen to like a 14-year-old girl. And also um, I think I was not as confident in myself. Maybe I was afraid that whatever I know is not enough to teach others. Um, but like the further I got in high school and the older I became, the more I understood how many students, especially girls around me, that really admire what I do and that want to um, like um, be closer to sports, to some of those achievements, but they are just afraid, maybe because of self confidence that they struggle with, maybe because they
Mhm.
think that, oh, it's not for me since I'm a girl. And I really wanted to crush those stereotypes within their heads and show them that they truly are capable of reaching whatever they want in sports. And you asked about the qualities that coaches look for. And I would say that talent is not like on the top of the list for sure. The main qualities are, I would say, like perseverance and just mm, like not being lazy, like forcing yourself to do something, giving 100% of your effort on every practice session, no matter how tired you are, no matter how, I don't know, hungry you are. You have to give your best on every exercise, every like movement, every run, even if you struggle with it, even if you're not the best on the team, just showing effort, being consistent, like not missing practices for no reason, like in general, being really invested into the sport and um, like I think effort is a thing that they look for on top of the things.
Yeah, I meant and asked not about the qualities, right? I asked about,
Oh,
yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was very valid.
okay.
I asked about, I think my question wasn't as specific, right? How did you signal growth and achievement in sports, right? How did you build the narrative about like, hey, I scored X, Y, Z out of XYZ games, etc.
Um,
Because like many people might not know how like what is a good score or like how to signal achievement in basketball, right?
um, yeah, so I think coaches will know what is like a good score and what are the achievements, but in general, so when you write a coaches, you like for sure you mention your like points per game, rebounds per game, like your game statistics.
Yeah.
average from like, I don't know, the last season or something. But you can also mention some things about yourself. Like I mentioned that I'm really aiming to go to a US college and that I'm like looking for like a liberal arts institution that is quite rigorous academically, and that,
Mhm.
for example, Wellesley is really fitting me both academically and athletically, and that I think that I would also be a great fit for their team.
Mhm.
um, and like therefore I asked the coach to just see me as a candidate and like share with me if they think that I will actually be a good fit or not. And I think it's also important for the coaches to understand that you are are ready to work once you get there, because I've heard that a lot of like American based students, like not international students, can be lazy sometimes. Like it's in the culture, just it's not a bad thing, but it's just in the American culture to be a little not as, I don't know, hardworking. Like it's not the right word, but just when a coach sees an international students who really shows that they are ready to give it give it all, like to the team, to the practices, and who are ready to work until they get it right, until they reach as high as they can. um, it really interests them, since not many players do that, and not many players are ready to like step on a path of an international student athlete, since it's a double work. You're not only a student, you're not only an athlete, but you're also doing that in a foreign country, and it already shows how um like how, I don't know, cool you are as a person.
Mhm. All right. So, and also sports um, gave you an opportunity to kind of get an advantage because of your achievements in sports in
Yeah.
the application process. Can you walk us through it, please?
um so in the United States, in the college sport, there is such thing as recruitment. So coaches can recruit athletes even before they graduate.
Mhm.
Um, and like for some top level athletes that are like best in the nation, for example, in the United States, they can get recruited in college as early as like 11th grade. So they still have like 2 years of high school to finish, but they have already signed a thing that like I will go to college XYZ now play for their team. But that's like for best of the best. And even for like a lower level athletes, there's still such thing as recruitment, which takes place beforehand, like before the application season comes. Um, so students can email coaches. So, like for international students, we have no other way of letting the coach know that you like exist in general, apart from emailing the coach and sharing information about yourself.
Mm.
And the students can do that um, like very, very early. Like, I don't know, the summer before their junior year, during their junior year, the summer before their senior year. Um, for me, I had an attempt the summer before my junior year. That was an unsuccessful one because like only a few coaches replied to me, and those who replied were not quite interested. But I did not give up. I continued like building my portfolio, developing my application, getting a higher scores on SAT, on IELTS, and all this stuff. And then I emailed the coaches again in the summer before my senior year. And that's the moment when I received a reply from Wellesley coach, as well as some other coaches. And when I started like communicating with the coaches about whether I might be a good fit for their team and like for the college culture in general.
So, if like there are different divisions, right? I'd say in each college that you apply to or belong to as a student athlete who applies to a university, right? There's like an NCAA Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, right?
Yeah, so it's a division of uh, like in which the college itself belongs. So
Oh,
like
I
each
see.
college is assigned a division in which
Yeah,
they
I see.
play against other colleges within this division.
So Wellesley is in NCAA Division 3, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, meaning that you basically participate, you will be kind of protecting the college's reputation in basketball while competing in the same division with other colleges, right?
Yeah, so I like we will compete against other colleges that are also within Division 3. And
Uh-huh.
like other divisions, they compete with colleges that are on their level.
All right. Is it possible to break into like further level when you're in that college and competing in that division?
It actually is. Um, I'm not sure if like the chances of international students to do that are high, but
Mhm.
it actually is possible. It's also possible to like switch colleges and join a team of other college that is in a higher division.
Mhm.
But I have to mention that like a college's division and its academic reputation are two separate things. So I know that many academically competitive, like highly competitive schools like MIT, like Wellesley, I don't know, Amherst College, and like a lot of liberal arts colleges are in Division 3, while in Division 1, there may be like just the bigger schools in general. I don't know, like University of Richmond, Alabama University, some like large schools that also have graduate students that have like about 10 to 20 to 12 to 20,000 students. But they may academically be less rigorous and less competitive compared to like other colleges.
I see. So overall, what the coach from Wellesley, right? They replied to you, and
Yeah.
but what kind of in an email did you reach out to them? Like basically introducing yourself, like, hey, I'm a student from an SAB. I'm doing this. I have these stats, academic stats, these sports athletic stats, right? I really want
Hmm.
to apply and be part of your team and something else.
Um, I also had like game film included, like a
Yeah.
video
Mhm.
of me playing.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I think that was like the key information within the email. And I was just asking them to like let me know if I might actually be a good fit and if they like may be interested in recruiting me, something like that.
All right. And so she, right, the coach is a she?
Yeah, yeah, she.
Yeah, is a her. So she replied to you, and what did she offer?
Um, it was quite funny actually. At first, she said that oh yeah, I see that you're interested in all this stuff, but it's quite hard to get financial aid at Wellesley as an international student. So like I will ask the admission officers to like evaluate, like not evaluate, like just I
Mhm.
will show the key things of your application to them, but I'm not sure like if you'll be able to get good financial aid. And then I like in a week, I think, she writes me another email and says that, oh, I showed your stats to the admissions committee and they were quite impressed. So let's like continue and hop on a Zoom call so that we would just like get to know each other and discuss
Mhm.
some like things about Wellesley.
Okay, so do you think she then influenced admissions committee or participated in decision making when you applied already? Or like, did
Um,
they mark your file in any way before you applied?
I can't be
Okay.
sure in that
Mhm.
because officially in the Division 3, the coaches are not allowed to like directly influence the admissions committee. They
I see.
actually can do that in higher divisions where more professional players participate. But since Division 3 is like a little less competitive compared to Division 1 and Division 2, in there, the schools are more focused on academics than on sports. And so the coaches are not allowed to influence admission officers. Those schools are also not allowed to give like athletic scholarships.
Mhm.
Students can only get scholarships through academics.
Yeah.
And so I can't directly say that the coach like influenced admissions committee since they could not like legally do that. But I think that maybe because they have already seen my stats and like my name. I don't know. Maybe they just had that in mind. And when they saw my application in the actual like early decision pool, they like noticed my
Okay.
like demonstrated interest in Wellesley,
Yeah.
and that may have influenced.
And we have an incoming question that is related to sports from Svinch. How important were competition results compared to just participation? I'd like to share my case. Participation in sports, if you have a different spike and a different focus developed to a quite high level, that can be impressive, right? That speaks a lot about your determination, ability to achieve goals, right? Grow, have autonomy, right? In that case, putting that activity, if you participate in sports as like an interesting edge to who you are, would be, especially if you have deep, meaningful experience or like interesting lessons, insights that you somewhere used else, right? Would be maybe a good way, right? It depends on other parts of your application to mention. But generally, if you apply as an athlete, I mean, participation is not that valued, right? It's better to have some tangible results. Either like I grew X% in this time frame, right? Or I was able to learn this skill in this time frame. So basically, the activity is supposed to show growth, right? Or be very meaningful. That's my take. Yesenia, what do you think
I want to see the question again.
from Sivinj? How important were competition results compared to just
Oh,
participation?
yeah, I see. Um, I think that it applies not only for sports, but to all of the activities that you list in your
Sure.
application. It's better to list um, like specific results instead of just participation. Um, and yeah, I agree with Valeria on like the thing that if you are determined to like email coaches and focus on sports, like being an athlete in your application, then of course just participating may not be enough. It may actually be if it was a participation in like a huge competition, I mean like a world championship or something like that. If for example, like for Kazakhstan, the fact of participation itself was quite an achievement compared to like countries that dominate basketball, like the United States, Europe, something
Yeah.
like that. But if it's more like a national or like regional level competition, then it would be better to show um, tangible results.
True. It's pretty much about every activity, right? You need to show
Yeah.
the impact. There got to be numbers. You have to be able to measure what you've done, not just say, "Hey, I have this experience," right? It needs to speak in, "I'm able to do this, was this in this time frame, and that's how many people, right, I reached with this activity. Either
Yeah.
how many people got to know about me, participated, I don't know, something changed, etc. Right? Got to be powerful. Participation is not, I mean, that does not matter that much, especially in competitive admissions. That's why they are competitive, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
okay, great. So now let's switch on to the other part of your application, which is the research highly requested topic, right, guys? We dive in. So, speaking of your research experiences, let me go over my notes here. Athletic internship research, right? So, first, economic consequences of hosting the Olympics, right? You wrote an individual paper connecting two defining interests, sport and economics. The paper examined the economic consequences of hosting Olympic Games for host countries, comparing the outcomes for 5 to 6 recent host nations, right? Your key comparison was between Brazil, Rio in 2016, and the UK
Um,
2012. No?
they were not like the key countries, they were just examples.
Yeah.
The key was in comparing developed and developing countries.
The effects for developed and developing countries. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell a little bit more about this specific research experience? Who was your advisor or mentor, or was it like a individual research paper that you wrote? Did you publish it? Did you not publish it?
So I wrote this paper during Simulate research program. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. It's also like a selective program. It has about 20% selectivity. Um, so I applied to this program. I think also during my 10th grade, like my peak of applications to programs was at the end of my 10th grade. And like the summer after my 10th grade was entirely spent on like internships, research papers, programs, and all this stuff. So it was also, I think, during the summer after my 10th grade. So I was accepted to this research program with a full scholarship. And there my mentor was Kamalo Bakirov. He's a great person, a great mentor. He also played competitive basketball in college in America, which is why we like really connected
Mhm,
both from academic and athletic side.
mhm,
And when I was thinking about the topic for my research paper, I had like full freedom, but I just wanted to connect two of my interests, like my personal interests and my academic interests, so that it would be um, at the same time, it would be representative of my academic knowledge in this field, and it would also be just like engaging for me personally, so that I would not be like lazy providing it. I would like actually invest my time into making a high quality paper, and that's how I came to the topic of like economic consequences of hosting the Olympics. um, yeah, so I was doing it in summer 2024, which is the year when Paris Olympics were hosted.
mhm,
So it was quite a hot topic around me. Like all the social medias were filled with information about the Paris Olympics. And I wanted to see if the consequences, like on the economy of the country in which the Olympics are held, are the same for like different levels of development of countries, if I can say so. Because I heard that, for example, in Brazil in 2016, the economics actually negatively impacted the economy, since like they spent a lot on like building stadiums and um, financing all of this thing during Olympics, but afterwards the country did not even generate enough revenue to cover all of that, and the buildings now just stand abandoned. Nothing is held in them. And I want to see if that's the case for other countries, or maybe if other countries are more effective in like managing their resources regarding Olympics hosting,
mhm,
and determine this um, like the aspects on which the country should focus to get as much benefit from hosting the Olympics as possible.
mhm. All right. Can you again repeat the name of the research program?
Stimulate. So it's like STEM, and then you
Stimulate.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stimulate
Stimulate like research program. Yeah.
research program. Okay. This is a program that is international, global, or it's native to Kazakhstan.
Um, it was international. We had students from like yeah, we had quite a lot of students from Central Asia, not only Kazakhstan, also Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and other countries. But we also have students from like Vietnam or the United States or something like that.
Mhm.
So it was not solely Central Asia. It was quite global.
All right. This program has an offer scholarships, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it focuses on STEM, or like what is the like why does this program exist? Understandable to support research, right? But like there is like a distinct focus.
Even though it's called like with an emphasis on STEM,
Hmm.
I would not say that STEM is an only aspect in which you can do research. So I did a research in economics, which is not really a part of STEM. It's just like based on the subjects you want to focus in, you're assigned a mentor that is quite knowledgeable in this subject.
Hmm.
Because I know that like students who were interested in doing papers in like biology, they just had mentors that are pursuing a biology degree or something like that. So they are able to help with the paper more extensively, obviously.
Hmm. So overall, you wrote this paper in the summer after your 10th grade.
Yeah.
With the help of an experienced mentor in
Yeah.
the Stimulate research program. Now there was another experience, specifically. You participated also in a summer research program, right? For high school students at Nazarbayev University. This
Yeah.
is the best higher education institution in Kazakhstan, where teams were given access to university laboratories to conduct and write up original research. The application there required a recommendation from a biology teacher, a letter of interest, grades, and transcripts. Yesseniya worked in a team where you focused on enzymes associated with Alzheimer's disease prevention of or treatment, right? So why did you apply to this program? Because it lays like so much out of your usual focus, right? You could have gone further into economics, right? Or further into sports basketball. In this case, it's nanobiotech, it's Alzheimer's, it's enzymes. Why?
Um, yeah, so since I applied in 10th grade, I was still in the process of finding
Mhm.
finding myself, my true passion.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned, like in early high school, I just applied everywhere I could to get
Mhm.
as many experiences to choose from in the future as possible. And I knew that Nazarbayev University is like the best in Central Asia and Kazakhstan. And like it all sounded so interesting for me to get an experiences of actually working in a lab, like working on a research paper. Um, just being at a university environment as a high school student, all of those factors led me to apply to get like a recommendation letter from my teacher. I was in a good relationships with my biology teacher at that time, so she wrote me a great letter. I had a perfect GPA. I was quite a competitive applicant, so I was accepted. And throughout like, I don't know, 6 weeks or something like that, I had access to university labs. I wrote like lab reports, and we had to choose a topic in a team. And our team consisted of like mainly of people who were determined to pursue a career in biology. There were also students quite older than me. They were in like 11th grade. They were heading into their senior year. So they were closer to the application process than I was. Um, so together we came to the topic about enzymes. And we also worked with like a software called AlphaFold. It's like for modeling those enzymes and just seeing how they would interact with each other. And we have to solve, like not to solve, like propose a solution to some problem. And we chose Alzheimer's disease. And we um, researched enzymes that could like prevent or like stop, slow down the development of this disease. At first, I could not like understand a thing because my peers were older than me and more experienced than me. But that was actually a good thing for me because I could pick up so much from them, learn so much from them as a 10th grader. Um, yeah, so at the end, we had like a research paper. We worked under the guidance of the professor of the university in biology.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So over the course of the summer after 10th grade, uh, after after 10th grade,
yeah, before
you
11th
took,
grade.
yeah, you took part in two research experiences in the Stimulate research program and in the research,
Yeah.
what do we call it? It's not a program, it's actually program or like a challenge.
Um,
It's
I'm
something.
not really sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
think they held that every year, so students can
hmm,
do that as well in the future.
okay. Right. So how long was that program? And how did you find it? Was it something that's easy to find or like you knew that Nazarbayev University hosts different competitions for high school students? So like, okay, in the summer I can do that.
I think my school counselor uh, just like notified our cohort about this opportunity, and I just yeah found out about it from my school counselor.
I see. So overall, you took part in this research because the opportunity presented itself. You're quite exploratory and opportunistic. You're like, yeah, this sounds very interesting. I want to get to know this. And that was a very challenging experience, right? Because many of the people you've been working with, they had background, um, I'd say deeper and maybe more rigorously trained background in biology
Yeah.
than you, which made it so much more challenging. Yet you, um, how can you like evaluate your experience within that program? Do you personally think it was successful based on your own standards?
I think it was. I think any experience is a success in its own way, even if you do not reach the desired results, like at least you get to develop as a person. And yeah, as I mentioned, even though I was the youngest on the team, I could pick up so much of the skills from my older peers and like from their readiness to like frame their activities into an application because
Mhm.
they were heading into the final year into their application season,
Okay.
so they already had in mind like what are they going to do with this activity in the future, how are they going to describe it, how is it going to help their application to stand out.
Mhm.
And so a year later when I was heading into my final year of high school, I knew that like I have to do the same for my activities. I have to know specifically what am I doing? For what am I doing it? How will it help me in the future? Even if it was not in biology specifically, as it was in this project, it was applicable to just any activity.
All right. So here comes a question from Sarvar, right? You have these two research experiences. In the first, you produced a paper. In the second, it was I'd say, full cycle research experience when you build experiments in lab. You also helped to co-produce a paper, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So did you publish any of this research paper? Any of these research papers?
Um, we published the group research paper.
Mhm. But the one about economic consequences of hosting the Olympics? No.
Uh, I don't think it was published. We had we were asked if any of us are interested in publishing it, and I replied that yes, I'm totally interested. But then like something I don't know, it didn't work out, and they just cut off not cut off. They just I don't know. It's
Oh,
just I think the school year started, and I kind of forgot about it, and ultimately it was not published.
I see. So, but you still mentioned it in your activities section, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that publishing research is important, but not as much as we think it is. It does give your application a boost because it kind of legitimizes the intellectual work you've done. But there are other ways to show the tier of your intellectual work, right? The depths of your research experience and your passion in a given subject. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that when I listed my research experiences, I focused not on the name of the journal to which they were published or like the amount of people that read it on the website on which they were published. I focused more on the skills that I created and that I developed in the process of writing it.
All right.
Like the software that I used, the lab reports that I produced, the data that I collected, the skill of like sorting and structuring the paper, like finding information, all this stuff. I just showed that from those experiences, I am highly prepared for college level like researches and college level explorations, that I already have those skills as a high school student,
Mhm.
which would make me like a more valuable asset in the eyes of the admissions committee.
All right. And about the nanobiotech paper, which you co-authored, right? You published it in what kind of a journal? Was it a national journal or an international?
Well, here I'm gonna be honest. Like, since I was still not in my final year of high school, I was not like the main initiator of the publishing thing. It was mostly like an initiative coming from students who are already applying to colleges, and for them, it was crucial to publish this paper. So they were kind of the ones doing it. And I don't exactly remember the name of the journal. I will try to find it after the meeting and send it to the
Yeah.
chat if I will be able to. I just know that like then I was not yet in my final year, and I focused more on other activities than on like publishing this paper.
Okay. Um, right. I think we had a couple of more questions related to research. There's one more coming from Jamaluddin. Could you please talk about topics which you've written your research papers about? We have just done that. Okay, he's going to write and publish his research paper, which will be based on early stages of financial and economical systems of Uzbekistan. Which sources, books, or YouTube channels, or any other resources would you suggest to understand and learn how to write a research paper, especially when you were producing yours in econ?
Um, I like in my paper, I compared countries based on some economical indicators like unemployment rate, GDP, like return on investment, and like stats that are measured in economics. And I found the data for the countries that I focused on in a specific year, like in a year in which the Olympics were hosted, and the following like 5 to 10 years, depending on how much time have passed ever since they were hosted. Um, and I got the data from reliable, like I was focusing on obtaining data from reliable sources like the World Bank or the like for the UK it was some like UK website on which they publish such things. I was also reading a lot of like articles and reports from the International Olympic Committee, it's like IOC. um, so they do like reports after the Olympics, and they also post a lot of articles on their website about like some accomplishments of each Olympics.
Mhm.
Um, so I was focusing, first of all, on taking information from reliable sources only to ensure that information taken is
Mhm.
real, like reliable. I was also um, like, I was being specific about the things that I'm comparing. So I did not just say, oh, in this country they had less money and in this country they had more money. I was focusing, for example, when I took unemployment,
Mhm.
I was analyzing what were the possible causes for that. So, like, if people, for example, if the Olympics created many employment opportunities for like transportation, um, the construction of all the stadiums, and many, many other things, then after the Olympics, the government was unable to um, like offer other employment opportunities to those people, and they were just left unemployed. And that's why the rates were so high. And like, not just listing the indicators, like in this country it's this and in this country it's this, but specifically um, analyzing the possible reasons that led for this like decline or increase, and making meaningful, like, I don't know, suggestions based on that information, um, would show your like analysis skills, your skills of finding information, your skills of sorting, like comparing, understanding general, like in general, how the economy of a country works and how it can be impacted, by which factors can it be impacted.
Mhm.
And yeah, like showing this ability to analyze in your paper.
Speaking of the research, Jamaluddin, right? You asked about resources, books, and YouTube channels and resources. How to specifically how to write a research paper, right? I would ask a question. You're going to write and publish your research paper, so you're still learning how to write it, or like what stage of a research are you at right now? Like, are you?
Here I would, sorry.
Yeah.
Here I would suggest also to um like find a mentor. It may not be like a mentor from a program. It may just be, I don't know, your friend who is like already had this
Then.
experience, or like a person who could guide you in this process
Mhm.
and explain, like walk you through all the stages, and maybe see and read through your paper a couple of times and make suggestions about what you can add or what is not necessary. I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah, or like reach out and find people who have recently been through different research
Yeah.
projects, whose experience is fresh and they're able to share their insights passionately and a lot of different resources. Usually these people, they have like already a timeline and actionable points built in and ready to share. That's one thing. Another thing that I can personally share, there are I think seven major publishing houses that own almost all of the scientific journals that you apply to get published, right? One is, I think you've heard of it, Elsewhere, Elsevier, I don't know how that one is pronounced. And then there's Taylor and Francis. Then there's also, wait, what is it, Nature, right? Elsevier specifically, it has its own free research academy where you can basically learn directly from the I don't know whether I can call it a publishing house, right? But basically the company that manages so many scientific journals. I checked it. It's quite legit. You can use it. Elsewhere Online Research Academy, I guess I'm not sure about the name, but you can um, find it if you Google it. Then there's also a couple of foundational books on producing a research paper. Usually they include um, Usually they include the process and also they focus on the style of writing and building methodology. Basically, they go over all of the processes, right, that are important to watch over while you're writing your paper. You can ask ChatGPT to share, and I can share a couple of books after we finish the session, or I will share later. Uh, what else? I think we've got quite good. We gave apologies, quite a good advice. Yeah, on that. Then, do we have any more questions related to research? I don't think so. Guys, if you do have any more, please share them. Because right now we're going to finally transition to internships. You have three internships that you applied with. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is Astana International Financial Center, a IFC internship. The second is internship at a Singaporean startup, Reactor, which you got
Yeah.
ladder internships. We're going to speak about what that is a bit later. And then an internship at a US startup focusing on finance, right? So let's kick off with, I'd say, ladder internships, right? Was your internship in Singapore. What is Reactor? What is ladder internships? And how did you secure that internship while being 15?
Um, So it was also an opportunity coming from the plenty of applications that I was sending out when I was in 10th grade. So Ladder Internships is like an international program. It, I think, stands among the many popular programs like Lumiere Research, Polygens, I don't know, something like that. Um, and Ladder Internships focuses on connecting like startups that are in need of, I don't know, like specialists and the high school students that are passionate about their fields
Mhm.
and that are aiming to um, like just get an internship and do their best to help the company. And so I was accepted with a full scholarship, and the latter like team, they directed me to the reactor startup because like in my application I showed a genuine interest in like economics, entrepreneurship, business management, finance, and this kind of a sphere. So they directed me to Reactor, which is like a youth entrepreneurship school in Singapore. So they focus on like teaching the basics of entrepreneurship, like not only the basics, like just in general, helping people with developing their entrepreneurship skills, their skills of generating ideas, like all of the aspects that a role of entrepreneur includes.
Mhm.
Um, and they so I was offered a position of like a partnerships and outreach intern. So I focused on introducing Reactor to the Kazakhstan's educational market, like to the Kazakhstan's educational system. So I explained how do schools in our country work, how do um, like what do students study in schools at Kazakhstan? What are some of the like most internationally focused schools that Reactor may want to partner with? In a way that would be beneficial for both the school and Reactor. So, since I am quite acknowledged with the Kazakhstani educational system and Kazakhstani educational market and all the institutions that are present in the market, I could introduce Reactor to that. I could find the contact information of all the institutions that Reactor may want to partner with, and I could, like, since I'm a partnerships and outreach intern, I would like reach out to those institutions on behalf of Reactor, introduce Reactor's like mission, their operations, and whatever they offer to
Mhm.
the institutions that partner with them, and just offer them to speak with me, or like with me and a Reactor representative from Singapore, and just discuss any ways in which we could partner, like maybe holding a hackathon together, or like offering some entrepreneurship education to the students of this institution. And I had to gather quite a long list of leads that could be contacted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, your reactor internship was focused on developing partnership and supporting the company's entry into Central Asian market, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So basically, as a 10th grader there, you learned, you had exposure to startup operations, market entry strategy, and B2B outreach. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So for a 10th grader, that's quite unusual. Another question is, how did that experience connect to you building your own startup?
Um, So one thing that I noticed after I finished entrepreneurship,
Mhm,
so it was before I started my 11th grade, and I started my business management course in 11th grade. And when we like studied the, I don't know, like the first unit, like the
mhm,
introduction to business management, some basics of business, of like building a business, um, I knew quite a lot of the things that we covered from this internship. It was like I was not having some business management lessons, like academic lessons, before this course,
mhm,
yet I had already known some of the aspects of building a business from this internship,
mhm,
about like B2B, B2C operations, all this stuff. At first, it was just a set of strange terms since I was only 15. But then once I dived deeper into the business management course, I like all of those terms started making sense in my head. And I understood that, oh, wow, I have already um, like did that in real life, not just in class.
mhm.
Um, so, what was the question again?
The question was, how did that experience connect to you building your startup, right? So,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a 10th grader, you started building your startup as an 11th grader, the one
Yeah.
that was focusing on a quick backpack, providing
Mhm.
emergency help for people in earthquakes context, like in location
Yeah.
earthquakes.
So, this experience showed me like the need to, I don't know, divide roles within a startup, because my startup was also a team project kind of, and we also had a clear division of roles in between each participant. And I noticed this feature from my internship, because like there was a different person for partnerships, for I don't know, social media, for like every aspect in which Reactor had to be represented and like led to something. It had a specific person that was responsible for this. So we applied the same approach in our startup. It also showed me the need to like reach out to people for like some help or resource. I don't know. So like for our startup, we were also um like we took initiative in contacting the people who could help us with like supplying the fabric for the backpack, or like with delivering the products to the families that are in need of this product. So we were always the first to like just send a message, or start a call or something, because we knew the importance of um, like taking initiative and just being not afraid to reach out to other people.
Mhm. That actually does sometimes take a lot of courage, especially when you need to, kind of not just present the product, but like um and not just engage, but support them in like securing the not support in securing the partnership, but like make them want to work with you, right? So it's
Yeah,
like I feel like it's like attacking in sports, but in a more collaboration focused way, right?
I think yeah, it is. They have some
Okay.
resemblance.
All right. Now, let's speak. There's a question from Jasmina. Can you explain the way you wrote your essay to ladder and interview process? What did applying took
Oh,
take?
I applied about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So I do not remember exactly the content of my essay. I'm sorry for that. For the interview process, um, I'm gonna share some advices like in general for interview. First of all, you have to like be yourself, be open, like not be um even if you are afraid, you have to not to show that you're afraid. You have to just be communicative. You have to make a lasting impression on the person that is on the other side of the screen, so that even if they were like sitting and interviewing people for 5 hours, and then once they finish this process and like, oh, that was the final interview, and they think, what were the most interesting people that I've talked to today? They have to definitely remember you out of the pool of people that they have talked to today. Um, and like you have to be confident in the things that you say. And I think your interview have to be somehow connected to the things that you mentioned in your application, so that they see that you truly are interested in what you are writing about, and that you truly are like the person who did this essay, not an AI, I don't know, something like that.
Hmm. All right. Now let's discuss another internship at a US startup, right? What was the startup focusing on, right? And how did you apply to secure the internship there, and what helped you to secure it?
Um, so it was a US startup focusing on the delivery of like healthy food for people that are, I don't know, like busy, that do not have time to cook their own meals, but they still want to follow a healthy diet.
Yeah.
Um, so in this startup, there was also like a division of roles or departments. That is like a common feature for all startups. So they had like an social media sector, like a finance sector, operational, like programming section, like for their website. They had a designers for their like posts and website things. So I was in the finance team, and we had to like make budgets for their operations in the following several months. I actually was connected with this opportunity through my mentors, like from my past acknowledgements of other people who have already started their like college education in the US.
Hmm.
Um, and but still there was some competition to get selected for this internship. There was about like 300 to 400 of applicants, but only about like 70 people could be selected. And yeah, you also had to like write an essay, explain your interests and how could you be helpful for the startup, and like what are your knowledge in this in the operational field in which you will be interning. Um, so as a finance intern, I had to, yeah, as I mentioned, like help with budgeting. I had to help with like finding the most efficient suppliers, both in terms of like price and time and the quality of the product. I could like in general help the startup to manage their financial resources in the most efficient way so that the startup would not just run out of money and like just have to stop operating because of that.
So you were in charge of managing resources and planning their allocation, right? For different purposes, goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was
Um,
like much. Continue.
okay. Great. Now another question. How did you apply to it and what helped you to secure it?
So I applied uh, to the like, creators of the startup since they were students at like US college. They were the founders of the startup. So I applied to them, and what helped me was I think what was also helpful in the college application process, this ability to show how useful will you be if you get selected. Um, so, like in the pool of applicants, it can
Mm,
be in college, it can be to internship. There are a lot of candidates that have the knowledge, that have the skills, that are just really competitive applicants. But to get selected, you have to specify what benefits will you bring to this startup, to this, I don't know, internship, and mm, how will like you get the most out of it and the startup will get the most from choosing you and not some
yeah.
other person.
It's about understanding what they value and what kind of value you bring with everything that you have, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like showing that you fully correspond to the qualities that they look for in an intern.
all right. Do you think it's a good idea to also add some interesting, unexpected edge? Or
Yeah.
uh-huh. What kind of unexpected edge do you
That
think
can
would
be
help
pretty
out?
much everything, like just anything that helps you to stand out. Because I'm sure that there are thousands and thousands of students that are good at economics and finance, that are good at engineering, that have high SAT scores. But to make the admissions officer remember you after a long day of reading applications, there should be some unique aspect, something that is um, like specific to you,
Mhm.
to your personality, um, something that really resembles, I don't know, you as a person that would remind of your profile, of your interests.
All right. So that also depends on how well you understand yourself. And
Yeah,
all right.
like
Um, mhm.
like the whole college application process is the process of finding your inner self, understanding your inner self, and um, like showing your inner self through your application.
Yeah, but also learning, the focus must not lay on just authenticity, right? You also need to understand how admissions work, because
Yeah, like
you might lose on some, like for example, it's competitive, right? Not all authenticity can be applicable for competitive contexts, right? I don't want to say that there must be the balance, but there are a couple of other, or not a couple of other, I'd say it's not facets, it's not perspectives, but things that you need to integrate and connect
yeah, yeah,
in order to make it work, right? Speaking of, right, when you were building your application to Wellesley, you went about having a very strong core and then adding some interesting, unexpected edges, right? Um,
yeah.
yeah. And how did you go about building your core and communicating it? When admissions officers read it, what do you think What do you think they thought of you? Like, okay, that's the girl who. Mm.
Mm, I think they like that I'm a change maker within my society. So I amplified as much as I could the changes that I made in the society around me. How did I contribute to solving the problems in the society around me? How did I influence the people around me? How much of the people have I influenced in a positive way? And what are the skills that I developed in this process that would help me to like uh, impact the society around me in the future, but on a larger scale, not as a high school student, but as a professional this time. Um, so yeah, and all of my like startups and clubs and projects and all those things, I was focusing on solving some existing problem within my community, whether it is a social problem or an economic problem. I was creating like a solution for this problem, and making some change within my society. So, like if we're taking the basketball club, then we did not have like an existing girls team before I launched one, and it was a change that impacted many people within our school community that may have wanted to try themselves in the sport but could just did not have the opportunity to do so.
Mm.
So like just making society around you a better place is an indicator of how you can become the person who will make our world a better place. And I know that Wellesley focuses a lot on like finding students that will be change makers and like problem solvers in like in a global um, like on a global scale in the future after graduating.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that many of the colleges look for.
I'd say Wellesley is more like Harvard, but focusing on women, because Harvard also the way, at least the way it positions itself is bringing up citizen leaders of the world, right? Wellesley focuses on that too, but mostly on women leaders
Yeah,
as a change makers, but I think the leading quality is not bringing in the change, right? But actually taking on the responsibility, right? And building the change. But it's more about, again, being this very responsible unit of a global society, right? Meaning you care about what's happening around you, about the problems, and then you decide to change them, to change the status quo, basically, to make
yeah, to take action.
some way. Right. Okay. So, let's review your activities that you applied with, right? And then there's going to be a final question about the unifying element of your application, which is the personal statement, right? Plus, there's also a supplemental that you wrote for Wellesley. Speaking of activities, there's being the captain of the basketball team, right?
Yeah,
Second, there's being the founder of basketball club to empower women to pursue sports and
yeah.
increase the visibility of basketball within your community. There's three, so five activities already. Internship experiences in Astana International Financial Centre, in Reactor startup, focusing on developing entrepreneurial skills and supporting early stage startups built by youth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also interning at a US startup focusing on delivering healthy meals to busy professionals, right? Then two research experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one focusing on economic consequences of hosting Olympics, nanobiology and Alzheimer's enzymes. So these are seven. You applied with
Mm-hmm.
10, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
The
think I
first,
didn't mention my startup, like
yes,
earthquake related
yes,
startup.
yep, that one. Startup.
So that is eight. I also mentioned my work at a basketball league. So I worked as a statistician
Hmm.
at a national league in my city.
Hmm.
Um, it was like a paid work where I just got experience in the professional setting, unlike on the other side of the game. So if players are on the court, then statisticians are the people behind the court who calculate all the stats, who count your points, who get the like top 10 players based on some characteristic. Um, and like statisticians are present in all of the major leagues in the world, like the NBA, I don't know, like all of those stuff. So I was interested in understanding the other side of the game that I'm playing. So I
Mm.
did that. That is nine, and the 10th one, um, I don't really remember. It may have been music, probably.
Mhm,
That may also sound off a little bit. Um, but like on the creative side, I'm engaged in singing.
mhm,
Um, I have actually graduated musical school. That was like before high school. But in high school, I have participated in some like music competitions. I've performed on the school stage, and it's just like my kind of side passion that just keeps me well rounded as an applicant.
yeah. So this is that activity that basically speaks about who you are, right? There are a couple of activities that show your professional skills and exposure to very strong international work ethic, right? Research experiences that speak about how well you're able to work with information and produce high quality intellectual work, right? There's also an initiative, two initiatives that show how well you're able to be an agent of change and focus on solving the problems, which is your basketball club and startup, right? Developing
Mhm.
solutions for existing problems that show how much you care about your immediate community and greater community, because your startup focused on basically people who are quite far away from your context, right? Because in Astana, we don't have earthquakes. Great. And the personal statement. What did you write it about, and how did you unify all of the activities?
Um, so for my hook in a personal statement, I had a thing that um like when I drive,
Mhm.
cops may stop me and ask for my ID because I look younger than I am. Or like at a basketball leagues, people may confuse and think that I play at a younger category. So like I was just mocking the fact that I may visually be like look younger than I am. And then I like transferred from this like just a funny aspect of my life into my perception of myself and how it transferred from when I saw myself like as a child and when I started seeing myself as a more mature person and what did I go through um, so that my like self perception changed so much. Um,
Hmm.
there, I like mentioned my projects that are also in my activities list, and mm, but there, like if in the list, I focused more on like quantitative side of the projects, like how many people did I impact, how many hours, percents, I don't know, like all these numerical facts. Then in the personal statement, I'll focus more on the personal development that came from those experiences and how it actually transformed me from just being like a child into becoming an actual like mature self-aware person and how I like closer to the end, I had a paragraph about how a young girl from my basketball club, after a practice session, she approached me and just asked some questions, like game related. And then when I was answering them, she looked at me, like, looked up to me with like a big eyes and like a smile. And then she shared that, like, oh, I want to be like you when I grow up. And then like after this conversation, I was thinking like, oh, when I grew up, does that mean that I have already did, like I have already grew up because I did not um perceive myself as a grown up person. But it was like a moment of self reflection within my personal statement that made me reflect that actually I am a grown up because I did like XYZ in my society. I did um, like I focused on doing something like for people around me, and within this process, I actually grew as a person and this like realization that there are younger like
Mhm.
peers who look up to me and want to be like me when they grew up means that like I'm going in the right direction and that like I want to continue doing so and inspire as many younger peers as possible, something like that.
So, I'd say your activities looked very professional, like of a responsible leader who wants to act in the world and be a very valuable asset to whichever activities projects they participate in, while also showing deep commitment to getting deep expertise, right, in the topics that are pertinent to the activities you participated in. And your essay was very reflective. Like it was not focusing on your professional life, it was focusing on your self concept and how you grew and what made you. You reflected on the topic of maturity, and I think focused on the definition of what maturity is for you outside age, right?
Yeah, in the personal statement I showed more of my personality that may be a little childish. Like I was raised with a sense to not hurry growing up because like childhood is only a limited amount of time in your life, while adulthood will be like infinite. So my parents always taught me like do not hurry to grow up. You will have the time to be an adult, but while you are still a child, just enjoy this time of like being a child. And that is like something that I really um like a perception of life that I lived with throughout my childhood, but then it somehow transformed into like my understanding of what is maturity. Yeah, for me, as you mentioned.
Hmm.
And this process came like um I did not notice the moment that it came because it was revealed through all of the activities that I was engaging in. But yeah, it had like a paragraph, I think, about like more professional side, like about the describing the process of building the club or like the process of building a startup. But it was not like the main thing. So I was not like devoting half of my essay on my activities. I
Hmm.
did that on the list, and then the essay it was more like a personal.
Hmm. All right. And the supplemental, you said it was less reflective. It was more focusing on like metrics, on being like this fierce realizator, achiever of.
Yeah. So if in the personal statement, I focused more on like um the way my mind works, I think, than in supplementals. It was my space to um, like usually I selected one of my activities that would fit to the prompts like the most and just expand on the way it has influenced me as a person and like what does it show about me.
Mhm.
So for Wellesley, um, there was a prompt about like communicating with people of a different background, of like being a change maker, of building a bridge between your community and like other communities, something like that. And so there I focused on my earthquake startup and how I engaged with people of different backgrounds when building it, how I saw its applicability, um, how I, like people of countries outside my own shared how the product that I created was useful in their context. Um, and then I framed it in connection with something like solving global problems, and like how initiative I am about doing that.
So basically, I think what you showed in the supplemental was how you approach problem solving and the vision towards which you're building, like kind of the direction of your thinking, that you're not just aiming, like, yes, you are a person who cares about community and sees the problems and solves them, right? But what you actually want to do is going bigger, right? Taking on more responsibility, solving bigger problems, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And I think this is this beautiful combination of very deep personal reflection that showed what kind of a human you are, your beautiful humanity. Second, deep professional experience. And third, the vision towards something so much more ambition while also having a lot of capacity backed by strong evidence, right? That resonated with Wellesley. I'd say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Right. Okay, so I think we are at the very end of the event. I hope you all enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. That was the Freshman Getting In series, the eighth episode of it, where we explored Yesseniya's case of getting into Wellesley College, her extensive experience in securing and participating in internships, producing research papers, building her own startup, and playing sports. Yessenia, thank you so much for sharing your experience and um, advising our guests on what they not advising, but like sharing your perspective on what they could do, right? Um, with in their cases. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
Um, I want to express my gratitude for inviting me to this event. To all the people who stayed till the very end and listened to all of my answers and all of my experiences. I'm really grateful to be here right now on a call with you, Valeria, and with all the wonderful people that took their time out of their Saturday night. Yeah, hearts, and just listen to me and my experiences. Um, if anybody has any final questions, I'm more than ready to answer them.
Sure.
Um, yeah, so please like raise your hand or type them in the chat if there's anything that I did not cover that you would like to know.
Or if you get any more questions after the event, right, you can still send them over into the group because it will exist permanently. Okay. Mm. This is interesting the way it works. I didn't know that these reactions work this way.
How do you do that?
I just take the react button.
Oh,
Yeah.
like sent with effect. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how it's
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Yay! Learning a new skill in the
Yep.
process of interview.
So I think we don't have any more questions. Guys, if you do share them in the chat, thank you all for joining. That was the eighth episode of Freshman Getting In Series. Have a great night.
Have a
Goodbye.
great night. Have a happy holidays. Like nowadays holidays.
Yep.